The marketing is very expansive. There's a whole, to your point, there's a whole lot of different ways of doing it. Door knocking, cold calling, text messaging, PPL, PPC, TV commercials, direct mail. I mean, there's just, like, you feel like it kind of never stops. And so people sit here and say, what should I do? And my answer isn't just a one-size-fits-all, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that would just give a one-size-fits-all answer for everybody. Some of it comes down to, what does your bank account look like? How much marketing budget do you actually have that you can spend, right? And when I ask that question, it's not about how much can you spend today for the next 30 days. It's what can you spend for 6 months if you never made a dollar back?
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of How I Did This. Today I've got an amazing guest. His name is Justin Colby. Justin Colby has 18 years of experience. He's completed 3,000 flips. He's got a podcast called The Science of Flipping, which is also a coaching program. And he has another podcast called The Entrepreneur DNA, which he has a book about that he just launched that is hitting bestsellers right now. So if I were you, I would go check that out. But Justin Colby, talk to us. Tell us, how did you get into this space in real estate, 18 years ago?
Yeah, when you're broke, busted, and disgusted, you have nowhere to go, you have no income, you got to figure something out. And so for me, I always knew I loved real estate. I actually have a background. My education is in English. So it's nothing to do with business, nothing to do with real estate. But when I saw what could be attained through real estate, income, wealth, etc., I knew I loved it. And so I went directly into it. And when I lost everything back in 2007, it was all about, okay, I'm going to go into real estate full time and never look back. And so, again, short little answer to a long 18-year luxurious career. There's been a lot of highs, some lows, but real estate is the only vertical I'm aware of, the only one I'm aware of, that you can make millions of dollars in income. You can amass tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars of wealth. You never have to pay taxes to the IRS, and when things go a little sideways as an entrepreneur or in the economy, real estate can protect your downside and give you a safety net. There's nothing else I'm aware of. No crypto, no stocks, no Forex trading. Nothing can do those four things in one vertical.
That's amazing. Yeah, real estate is an amazing vertical. So tell us about your first deal. How'd you get your first deal?
Yeah, so it was a long 9 months. It took 9 months. I was cold calling agents every single day. Again, as I started, I was broke, busted, and disgusted. I had no money, no income. I would go to Starbucks every day, and I would call 100 agents from my cell phone. And back in 2007, everybody, there wasn't Facebook, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't all the nice, cool things we have today. So it was brute force cold calling. I was calling Realtor.com. I didn't even know if those agents had listings. I had no idea because it wouldn't list if they had listings or not. Now you have all these incredible softwares like REI Lead Machine that can actually show you their listings, and it shows how many, properties that agent has and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so many great softwares now. Back then there wasn't. There was basically Realtor.com. So I would just cold call all day long. And Julian, let's just say you're an agent. I would call you and say, hey, Julian, my name is Justin. I'm an investor locally looking to make an offer on your listing. I don't even know if you have a listing. I have no idea if you have a listing. I'm just saying the same script over and over again each and every day. And so finally, 9 months later, something clicked. We got our first deal and never looked back.
Okay, amazing. Super cool. And as it stands right now, how big is your portfolio? Either like how much you're making a year, or like how many portfolios you have, and just so we're aware of like where you're at right now in your journey.
So I have 4 apartments. I have hundreds of doors. I have a storage facility. I have, I believe, like 68 just single family homes. We're doing somewhere between 5 to 20 deals each and every month currently. I'm looking to try to ramp this up to buy 2 a week, and so very active. My growth trajectory of what I'm trying to do is get more into the assets that I can force appreciation, right? And so I want to make sure that I can remodel or force the appreciation. So when I do exit in 5 or 10 years or whatever that may be, the value is much higher than it currently is. And so I run a volume business, which isn't for everybody, right? I would almost encourage people, if you are just getting started out, don't focus on my answer. It's a good question, but don't focus on it. If you're just starting out, I would look at trying to get your first one. I only like suggesting to buy properties that you can force appreciation through remodel or rehab with, and but go get your first one. And so, 18 years. My answer is 18 years in the making, right? But for those that maybe on the newer side, just go do one. For those that listening to this are active themselves, my advice for all of you, including myself, is always be innovative, always be adapting. The markets are ever changing. I think people think because Donald Trump is here, we're going to have some, lightning bolt of awesomeness. It's not going to go down that way. The next 12 months is still going to be a little rocky and rough. But then we will have some good upside here in year 2, 3, 4.
Okay, awesome. So let's talk to those beginners, in today's age, we have more resources than ever before. I mean, it's easier than ever to get a deal. What do you recommend people do in this day and age to get their first deal? Whether it's in wholesaling or flipping or rentals. I don't know, whatever you teach, but
Well, I think listen, I think the best way to get, if you're teaching sales or if someone's in a position that you're looking to do some sort of sales, getting on the phone and doing it is the best way to do it, right? Trying to rely on some sort of automation and AI, and I know that's the big key word in the world today is leveraging automation, your AI. I get it, and I do it. But if you're trying to get your first one, then put in the work, right? Make the phone calls. And I would tell someone, if you're looking to get your first rental property or fix and flip, I would tell you to call agents. A lot of people who are not in the know, the people that don't understand what I understand, they think there's no good deals if it's listed with an agent or on the MLS. That is just not accurate. And it's just up to them to understand what is a good deal and what isn't. In reilive.co, I would tell anyone who's looking to try to go get started, reilive.co, C-O. Every day I go in and show you what is a good deal, what isn't a good deal, and how to make it a good deal if it's not a good deal. Like, where is that threshold? And I do that 5 days a week because, just as you asked, Julian, if someone's starting, the biggest hurdle isn't always just making the call. The biggest hurdle is the confidence of, are they buying a good deal or are they getting a good deal? That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, totally understand. So nowadays, wholesaling is the easiest way to get started in real estate, right?
Sure. Yeah, and the reason being is you don't have anything to risk. You don't need money. You don't need credit. Now, and lastly, you don't need contractors. So as someone who has dealt with contractors for 18 years, the fact that if you don't have to deal with them in the wholesale space makes wholesaling just a better way in general to start. You don't need your own cash. For clarity, you do not need your own cash. You do not need your own credit to fix and flip or to buy rentals. You do not. I never use my own cash for my own rentals. A lot of people are taken back by that. I always use the bank's cash or private lenders raising private money, other people's money, right? And I do that in a way that I can make sure I'm not using mine. And so I just want people, for clarity purposes, I think people assume wholesaling is the best because you don't need money. It's true, you don't, but you don't need money to fix and flip either. So the big caveat I would say is what I highlight is you don't need contractors. That is why I'm bald. Contractors is why I have no hair. So I like wholesaling for that reason.
Okay, awesome. And talking more about wholesaling, there's a lot of ways to go about getting your first deal, right? You can go talking direct to agents, right, or direct to sellers. What do you recommend someone does nowadays, whether that be cold calling, PPL, or on market, or bandit signs, or all these other different things?
It's a great question. Listen, marketing is very expansive. There's to your point, there's a whole lot of different ways of doing it. Door knocking, cold calling, text messaging, PPL, PPC, TV commercials, direct mail. I mean, there's just, you feel like it kind of never stops. And so people sit here and say, what should I do? And my answer isn't just a one size fits all, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that would just give a one size fits all answer for everybody. Some of it comes down to, what does your bank account look like? How much marketing budget do you actually have that you can spend, right? And when I ask that question, it's not about how much can you spend today for the next 30 days. It's what can you spend for 6 months if you never made $1 back? Because starting in month 7, you'll probably start to make some of that money back. But I try to help people understand you need runway. You need to be able to run for 3 to 6 months work the leads, work the business, and then the money is going to start coming back. So if someone's sitting around saying, hey, I have $3,000, how much should I start spending in marketing? My answer is zero. Don't spend $1 on marketing, okay? Because of things like I told you. And there's other strategies that you don't need to spend money, but you can call agents. Like, it's absolutely free. It just takes your time, right? And so the thing that everyone needs to realize is you're going to spend one of two things. Maybe you're going to spend both. You're going to spend money or you're going to spend time. And in some cases, you're going to spend both. But, if you don't have a good little runway, if you don't have 10, 15, 20 grand that you're willing to invest into marketing, I would encourage you to do the things such as calling agents or utilizing some of my strategies that I teach to get deals done for free. You don't need to go spend a bunch of money.
Okay, I love that answer. Amazing. Yeah, that's incredible. Now, it's always very important to know the end buyer. For example, you as a flipper, you're the end buyer in most of the transactions that we do in wholesaling.
Yeah.
How do we, as the people who are bringing in the deals to you, make sure that there's enough room or incentive to you for you to do this deal?
So the reason why I put together reilive.co is because I want people to understand my buy box, right? So you don't have to think, does Justin like this deal or not? There's 4 numbers you need to put in there. What is the purchase price? What is the remodel budget? And what is the after repair value? After I remodel it, what is the value that I would either list it at if I'm going to rehab it, or what is the appraisal going to say when I go to the refi loan? So I give you that. I give you my buy box. That way you don't ever have to think about, would Justin buy this or not? It literally goes green, Justin will buy it. It will go yellow, Justin might buy it, we're close, or it'll go red, Justin won't buy it, I'm not close. So you don't even have to think, right? And then you start to play with the numbers. And this is what helps people become better acquisition people, better salespeople, is because they have my buy box. So they can see, oh, it's green, I can get it here, we're golden. It's yellow, I'm close, I might need to work a little harder to get a little bit lower number. Or if it's red, then you're like, I'm way off. What do I need to do to get either into yellow or green?
That's awesome. I love that you have one of those color coordinator things.
I want to color coordinate to make it easy, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And one of the things that people always ask is like, hey, should I start in my own backyard? Should I go to a different market virtually? What do you recommend when it comes to that?
I think if you're going to start with wholesaling, you do not need to be in your own backyard. You could do that anywhere, right? Because the reality is, if you're going to start with wholesaling, you don't need to walk into someone's house, right, to go wholesale. If you are going to fix and flip or potentially start to buy rentals that need remodeling, I would encourage you to potentially do it in your backyard. Right now, Julian, you and I are here in South Florida. This is a really expensive market, right? So even if you're like, Justin, okay, I'm going to do fix and flip, I don't believe Miami is the best market to do your very first deal. You can. I have friends here that have done that. They started a business here. Part of it is the need to speak Spanish, right? And so they're Cuban Americans, and so they have that comfort level. Someone like myself I can get into the trouble with as much Spanish as I know. I can definitely get into trouble. I can kind of get myself out of trouble, but if I had to work with a contractor full time speaking only Spanish, I wouldn't be able to do it, right? And so, and that's okay. My point to that is would this be the best market for me to buy my first deal? Probably not. Very expensive, not a great rental market because it's so expensive. And then I have a language barrier, right? But it doesn't mean, so I buy a lot in northern Florida, right? I love Pensacola as an example, Jacksonville. And so Florida's still a great state. But I say all this to say, when I answer you about fix and flipping or buying and holding in your own backyard, it just depends. San Francisco's not a great market to do it in. Miami's not a great market. Chicago's not a great market. Some of these cities they're very expensive. You don't have good rental returns. You can miss big on a rehab flip if you don't know what you're doing. I like markets that are $300,000 or less, right? And the reason why I like these markets is because I have 2 exit strategies. I can fix and flip it, right? Or I can keep it as a rental. Either way. And I'll tell you, one of the things I brought up at the beginning of this episode is this downside risk idea, right?
Hmm.
where if the market changes, something happens, you can protect your downside. Real estate is a great opportunity of having two exit strategies because you might buy something thinking you're flipping it, but because you bought it and it's an under $300,000 home and the numbers probably still make sense, you could at worst case keep it and you
Hmm.
won't lose money. You're stuck in the deal, right? But you're not going to
Hmm.
lose money like you will with stocks or forex or whatever the other thing is, right? You have a real estate asset. And so that's what I say about protecting your downside is like you're going for the flip, you're going for the 20, 30, 40, 50, $60,000 on the flip. Something happens, right? Interest rates go up, whatever. Name the thing. Contractors do you wrong. And you're like, "Damn. Well, if the home's 550, it's probably not a
Hmm.
very good rental. You're probably going to lose money every month, right? If the home's 250, it's probably a halfway decent rental, right? And so
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying is I stick to that 300 and less because then I have two angles to either keep it or flip it.
I love that. Yeah, that's a good way to stay right there for the flips or rentals. Now, okay, so we talked about some ways to get your first deal for free. Now, and you said have some money saved up so that you can spend on marketing for 3 to 6 months and
Yep.
do that. Now, I wanna talk a little bit about what it takes to do consistent deals
Yep.
because getting your first deal is great, but it's just a start. And ideally, some people want to replace their income, right? They want to make this a full-time thing, and so they need to know what consistency looks like. And
For
so
sure.
what does that look like when you're maybe want to get into the 2 to 5 deals a month?
Yep.
What?
You definitely need to spend money. So my first answer
Uh-huh.
is I tried to help people not spend money. But if you want to get some consistency, you're going to have to invest in your business, right? Into marketing. And so, the next question might be like, well, what marketing strategy is best? Well, I like them all for different reasons, right? Pay per lead is good because you get the lead right away, right? You're not waiting around. Pay per click, like setting up Google pay per click, you got to set it up. You might get some trickle in leads, but if you're paying per lead, you pay for it, you get the lead, you make a call. Like it is that fast, right?
Mm,
And it should be at least.
yeah.
Um, so I like that, right? I like the motivation. Um, I do television marketing also, right? Now this is a
Mm,
more expensive. This is, about 10 grand a month. So again, you need to have some level of runway for finances. I like television. Why? Because if someone sees me, and by the way, my website and my commercials, Justin Buys Bama. If
mm,
someone sees me on TV and calls in or opts into they're motivated because when was the last time Julian did that? When was the last time you went on a TV commercial and opted in and gave everyone your phone number and your email? The answer is never. You never have done that. So if someone does that, there's some motivation. So I like PPL, I like TV, I like pay per click. The challenge I see with pay per click in today's world is if you're not doing it yourself, you're hiring an agency to do it. And then you have an agency cost of somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000 a month. That's just to pay them to do it, right? And so direct mail is something that I think has been a forgotten tool. And if you use direct mail in a very niche way, right? You find a strategy, whether it's let's just say out of state absentee homeowners that have 50% equity, and the list you pull up in your city comes to like 600 people, I would use direct mail for those 600 people. What I would not use direct mail for is to go send out to 60,000 people, right? And
yeah.
so I like them all. I think you need to have a runway of a budget. I know you're probably trying to get one answer out of me, but then it also comes down to who I'm talking to. What is your
Mm,
time constraints, if any? Are you doing this business full time? Are you waiting for the phone to ring? Are you ready to make the call the second someone opts in? So some of the answers are a little bit different. And if you spend $5,000 on Facebook ads, which I didn't even mention, you're going to get more leads at volume. You're going to get less motivation, maybe, but now you get to play the volume game, right? You'll bring in 100 something leads a month. Now you can start calling. I was talking to a kid yesterday. He's 22 years old. He's doing 100. Today he closes his last deal for the month. He's going to make $105,000 wholesaling from Facebook ads, right? I love that. He's spending roughly $8,000 a month on Facebook ads. He's spending $8,000 a month on Facebook ads to make $105,000 this month. That's a hell of a return,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And so, again, it just depends. They're all good.
Okay.
They're all good for different reasons.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I like that. And I think I've heard this before, and I want to get your take on it. They say that the most important thing in the wholesaling business is the ROAS,
Return
right?
on ad spend.
Return.
Sure.
Yeah. So what is a good ROAS for someone that's like looking to spend, like, if I spend this much, like how much should I get back? You know, and
Your
also,
threshold's 3x, right? That's the minimum.
uh huh.
So if Julian spends 10 grand, then the next month, not this month, like, so you got to understand the attribution of that money comes usually a month later in the wholesaling space. So if
Yeah.
you spend 10 grand this month, next month, right, in March, then you'll want to make at least 30 grand from the money you spent in February. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, your minimum is a 3x ROAS. Now, in month one, it's not always as easy as just saying that answer. Like, so I have one that is it's a 3.9x, right? But it took me about 6 months to get it to a 3.9 ROAS. The first month we were negative, second month we were negative, third month we were kind of break even, fourth month, right? And so you can see there's like an escalation to it. And now we still have, I don't know, hundreds of leads that we're still following up and nurturing. And every time we take a lead that is in our database and we contract and get a deal done, the ROAS goes up, right? Because I've already spent that money. So the books, quote unquote books, the financial books for the month of January, let's say, of 2025 is closed. It's done. I already spent the money. The leads came in, but I might contract a deal March 28th, as an example, from a lead that came in January. Well, that helps my ROAS increase because a lot of people, the challenge I see with most newer investors is they always talk about leads, leads, leads. I need more leads, but then they forget that they already have leads and they're not a good salesperson. So they don't have the salesmanship, they don't have the follow-up, they don't have the nurture, and their ROAS sucks because they can't, figure out what I'm saying right now, which is work the leads you already have till they tell you to literally fuck off or die, right? Like that's
Yeah.
how hard you need to work the leads so that you can, turn your ROAS from a 3x or sometimes even a negative into a profitable model.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's an amazing take on it. I want to talk about how many leads one person should be able to handle. Do you
80.
have 80 leads?
80 leads is the best. Like under 80 is better, right? But when so let's just say you were my acquisition manager as an example, I wouldn't really want you having more than 80 leads at any given moment. And what that also means is I have more leads coming into my business. So you, Julian, would need to focus on out of all my leads, like what are the best 80, because I want more leads. I want Justin to give me more leads, right? So then I got to start to either dead leads that really don't have any value or put them in a really far down nurture follow-up. So this is where I love AI. This is where I love automation. Setting up some level of automation for Julian's leads, and let's just say you rip out 20 a month that are just not getting back to you, whatever, and you want to set up automation. That means every month I can give you 20 more leads new, right? So you keep every month, you stay 60 that you're working and nurturing, you get 20 new, 60, 20, 60, 20. Next thing you know, you're going to be knocking down 4 to 5 deals a month if you keep that trajectory, because the 20 that you keep putting in the nurture and follow-up, the AI, the email sequence, the text sequences, the phone calls, right? Automated phone calls. Nowadays with all this technology, I mean, it's great what you can do without Julian having to do the work, right? And so that is how I would look at something like that. I wouldn't want Julian in the example to hold more than 80 leads. It's just too
Okay.
many.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a good thing. So people know, how many leads they should be handling.
That's right.
And I wanna talk about a little bit about all these exit strategies. For example, there is traditional wholesaling. There's also like creative finance, sub to seller finance. There's novations. Should they focus on all of these? or like all of the possible exit strategies, or should they just focus on the one traditional, you know, cash?
Yeah, so I say it like this. Like if you're a hammer, like if you're a wholesaler, that would be the equivalent of a hammer.
Yeah.
Then you're only going to see nails, right? If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail because that's all a hammer's good for. It can't deal with a screw, right? You're not a screwdriver, you're a hammer.
Yeah.
So I want people to be what I call dynamic. And dynamic is more along the lines of what you're talking about, right? You need to look at everything as either a wholesale, fix and flip, or buy and hold. Now, those are the only real three exit strategies. When we start talking about creative financing and subject to and seller finance wraps and notes and all that, that is more of an acquisition strategy for the three exit strategies. Follow me? So
Yes.
like my boy Pace, I love Pace. Sub 2 is an acquisition strategy, structuring the deal to acquire it. Now, how he or anyone, including myself, I've done hundreds, if not thousands, of sub 2 deals. How I exit it is up to me still. Am I going to structure and acquire the property in a creative manner and then keep it? Am I going to structure it in a creative finance manner and sell it off? Am I going to wholesale it and have someone else take over the terms? Those are the exit strategies. So what I implore everyone is be dynamic. You don't need to know every single acquisition strategy per se. That is why you'd go to like reilive.co. I every day would help you create the structure of that. And you don't need my level of experience. I'll just do it for you. But you want to be dynamic, right? Just doing one simple thing isn't the model. You need to do them all.
Okay. So, yeah, that's incredible. Now, let's talk about a little bit about the systems. You mentioned that systems are very important, you know,
Sure.
and so, like, tell us, like, I guess what you need in order to, what we need or what I need in order to build like a consistent business, you know, that.
In terms of technology, I don't recommend a lot of things. You'd want a CRM, but at the end of the day, you could use Google Sheets or Excel, right? To some level. I love REI Lead Machine. REI Lead Machine. The reason why I love it is I can comp the properties, so I can analyze the properties really well on there. I can also get all of the agents' listings across the nation on one platform with the agent's phone number, so I can call them. And then I can also pull lists and skip trace if I wanted to, right? I can do all this on one single platform. There's more stuff you can do. These are the three things I like to do. So in terms of technology, I like that. And even in REI Lead Machine, you can kind of like, if you like a property or something, you can add it to your list, right? So there's a level of CRM even in there. In terms of system, what I think most importantly that you need to think about as a real estate investor is who's going to be doing the work. Is it you? Is it someone else? Is there points of leverage, right? Or do you have an acquisition team? Are you the only one doing it? And then what are the things you should be doing? What I call revenue generating activities. Are you outbound calling agents? Are you outbound calling homeowners? Do you have paid marketing? Are you doing Google pay-per-click? Are you doing direct mail? So putting together some level of process. If you are spending money in marketing, you want to have a CRM. You just do. A great CRM is Rocketly, rocketly.ai. Is a great CRM. A lot of automation, a lot of build out, a lot of ability to like nurture, like I told you, Julian, nurture some of the people that aren't getting back to you. So I use Rocketly because I spend a lot of money. If you aren't spending money, then you don't need a whole lot. REI Lead Machine and start outbound calling. Because what most people do is they want to understand. People get caught up in the minutia of understanding the value of homes, the value of the rehab budget. Like, am I making the right offer? Don't worry. Like again, REI Live is built for that. REILive.co is literally built so you don't have to worry about am I doing it right, and I'll just do it with you. Because if you get stuck in the minutia, if you get stuck in trying to be perfect, you're just not going to do it. You're not going to make the call because you don't know if you're certain about the number, and you don't want to make the call if you're not certain because you don't want to sound dumb. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you can just get through that part, I'll make the call for you. But, don't try to be perfect. Perfect is the enemy of done, right? And what you want to do is get it done, get the activities done, because that will create certainty. And if you can create certainty, then you'll build confidence. If you have confidence, then you can scale your business. Then you can grow your business.
Amazing, amazing. I love it. I love it. And what time do you go live in REI Live? What?
I go live every day, Monday through Friday. There's a 2 to 3 hour live. It varies, and the reason it varies because I have members across from like California to Florida, and so
Uh,
I know that I can't just have 10 a.m. every morning because that's 7 a.m. in California, right? So every week I basically have what I call an escalating. So Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays at noon, uh, Wednesdays at 2 p.m., Thursdays at 4, Fridays at 6, and then the next week, Mondays at 6, Tuesdays at 4, Wednesdays at
oh,
2, right? That way it's like
yeah,
everyone has a shot to be on these calls.
yeah. Okay, that's amazing. Now, let's talk a little bit about who your first hire should be. Like if you're looking to scale up your business, like how
Yeah.
you mentioned, um, who should be your first hire?
It's a great question. And so if you're in the growth phase of business, right? So I believe my own personal philosophy, and I've coached thousands of people. If you're not personally making $250,000, like in your pocket, right? So I'm just going to use the example. Julian comes to me and says, Justin, I want to grow and scale my business. We're doing 3 or 4 deals a month. We're rocking and rolling. One of the first questions I'm going to ask Julian is, how much money are you making, Julian? And if I hear a number that's less than $250,000, I'm probably not going to advise him to go hire a lot of people. Are there resources that he can leverage? Yes. But do I need him to go hire acquisitions people in disposition? Probably not, right? Could he hire an executive assistant? The executive assistant is in charge of certain tasks that's taking his time where he can actually now go pour into doing more deals. Could he hire a transactional coordinator? So all that damn paperwork that he has to deal with and the title paperwork, and now he doesn't have to deal with that, right? There's people in the business, but the first hire, let's just use the example. Julian says, yeah, man, I paid myself $300,000 last year. Let's roll. I'm like, hell yeah, dog, let's scale. So
Let's go.
now I'm like, the first hire is an executive assistant. Julian needs an assistant. That assistant is exactly what is defined. Like they do everything. Anything I can think of. I have 2 personal assistants essentially. I can't tell you how many things. Like today, great example. This morning, I'm like, hey, I need to start a WhatsApp group for all my guests on my podcast. I'm not going to go do that. Like, I don't even know how to work WhatsApp. I don't, like, I'm old. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I can't spend my time figuring that out and then adding all my assistant does that, right? I can't sit there and invite all these people. First of all, I don't even know how to invite them on WhatsApp. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that little task for maybe Julian, you said you were 26,
27.
27. For you, that might actually be really, really easy and take
Mhm.
2 minutes. For someone like me, that little project, like create a WhatsApp group, add people to it, not a big deal, that might take an hour and a half to 2 hours of my time. Because I just don't really know how to do it. I'm gonna bumble fuck around. Like, so things like that. Is that 2 hours of my life better spent talking to homeowners, sellers, making offers, negotiating deals, or creating a WhatsApp group for my podcast guests? So that's how I want people who are in growth mode to start thinking is what are the actual activities that don't create revenue? What are those activities that I now can create points of leverage with people? What I don't love seeing is people hiring acquisition people and disposition people in the wholesale business because those are your 2 points of leverage to make money, right? And then even then, if you are going to hire a disposition person, I don't want it to be someone who would be potentially competition. So let's use the example, Julian. You started a wholesale business. You're doing 5 deals a month. You're making 100 grand a month. You're making $1 million a year. You're paying yourself $250,000. You're like, dude, I could double this. Watch. If I could have a disposition person, if I didn't have to deal with the buyers, I could double this. Then as your coach, I would say, Julian, let's go. But I want you to hire someone. So my 2 disposition girls are in Mexico.
Hmm.
They're college educated. They were in the United States, college educated. They couldn't get their green cards. They had to move back to Mexico. They speak perfect English, but they can't live here. But they
Uh,
know it. They're not going to go create this business. They have no desire to go create a competitive wholesale business. So
yeah.
for me to give them that role, I feel safe. What you don't
Mm,
want to do is
I see.
give your best friend John the disposition role, and then John starts to look at your bank account because this is what people do. Like, oh man,
Yeah.
Julian's balling right now, dog. I could do this. I could do this. I don't need Julian.
Yeah.
And now he has access to all your buyers.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So executive assistant is the number one answer, final answer. And then you start to look at, like, can I get a transactional coordinator involved to deal with this? And then what other points of leverage do I need to look at that I'm dealing with that I can take away so I can focus on just simply getting more deals?
Yeah, that's amazing. I really like that you mentioned that you don't want to have competition. Like,
You don't want to
hire.
breed your own competition, that's for sure.
Yeah, because when you start off having this person in your team and then all of a sudden they split, they basically leave you empty,
Right.
and then they go start their own thing. But then it's like, great, like I gave you everything you needed to go start your own thing, and now I'm left with just an empty space, right? And
No doubt, 100%.
so yeah, that's amazing. Cool. So I really like where the conversation is going. Tell us a little bit about this this journey that you took. About, like you said, you don't need money to raise capital, right? And to do your own deals, right? And so, how did you get started, like buying flips, like, and with no money? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, some of it is luck, right? I got to attribute some of it to luck. And why I say that is because I started doing deals with transactional funding. That's not quite as common today. It still exists, but transactional funding would be exactly that, where I would buy the property, and for about 24 to 48 hours, I would own the property until Julian would buy it from me within 24 or 48. So it's transactional funding. I bought the property. I have a loan. You buy it from me. The loan's gone. Really expensive money is still around today, but it's like 2 points.
Yeah.
So that's really expensive for like 24 hours or 48 hours, right? And from there, I was doing some deals, and then I randomly came across a friend that got a big inheritance. I didn't know he got a big inheritance. We were shooting the shit at a football game. I haven't seen him for years. And he's like, bro, like, I want to get into real estate too, dude. This sounds great. Like, I have some money, he's a fireman, and he was like, dude, if I can give you some money, can we do some deals together? I'm like, sure. But the takeaway from all of you is, yeah, I was a little bit lucky because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Now I know what I'm doing. So now the big takeaway there is, if you aren't talking about what you're doing all day long, you don't get to be lucky. The reason why he gave me money is because I was telling him what I was up to. We were catching up. I haven't seen him in a year. What are you up to? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm flipping properties, blah, blah, blah. He's like, bro, I got this money just sitting here. I don't even know what to do with it. I'm a fireman. I don't have time to do anything with, like. So if you aren't talking about doing deals, being in real estate all day long, no one has the opportunity to offer you money. You don't even have to ask. I didn't ask him for it. He told me he wanted to do it. Does that make sense? So the takeaway there isn't that I was lucky. It's I started talking about what I was doing, and that led to raising money. So I call it, you need to be branding yourself. I call it CIA, credibility, influence, and authority, okay? If you're branding yourself always about what you're doing all day long, right? So people need to know who you are, what you do, and then what you're looking for. Who you are, what you do, what you're looking for. If you're doing that on social media, I'm not talking about being douchey. I'm talking about just showing what you do. Like, Julian, what do you do all day long for work?
I'm a wholesaler.
Yeah. So perfect. Let's just say you're brand new, as an example, and I know you're not, but let's just say you are. Even if you just are taking your phone and you record yourself comping deals. That's it. You're recording yourself comping deals. Oh my God, look at this dumpster fire, guys. There's 2 other properties that are worth 3 times that. I think this is a great flip. Man, let's stay tuned. Check out my next story. I'll tell you how this goes. Boom, done. Post it.
Yeah.
You did nothing douchey. You're just showing what you're doing, right? That's what Julian does all day long, is comps properties. Well, when Julian, a month from now, says, hey guys, and now you do a selfie. Hey guys, I have a property. I know you've been watching me do all these comps. I have a property I'm going to buy, and I want to do it. I'm going to buy it myself, and I'm looking for some capital partners. If you're interested in getting a double-digit return on your money, hit me up, and maybe, we do this deal together. boom, you put it down.
Nice.
You're going to have 8 or 10 people be like, bro, I'm down. How much do you need? What's the deal? Where's the deal? Now you have all these people asking questions,
Yeah.
but it's because you were just showing them what you did for a month. Every day you're showing them something that you're doing for that month. So they know when you do go and ask to raise capital, hey, I'm looking for a capital partner. They know what you do. They know what you're looking for, right? It's way easier to raise capital when you brand yourself.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is really really important to brand yourself, to talk about what you're doing. And you know, I want to just quickly touch on this because I know we're doing this podcast and this is part of branding,
Yeah.
but how has been your journey branding? Like what has it
Long.
opened up for you?
No, dude, great question. It has opened up more doors than you can ever imagine. And this podcast is a great brand for Julian, right? Like I would tell everyone you need to start a podcast. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you look at my very first science flipping podcast that was 12 years ago, it wasn't perfect by any stretch, right? And it's gotten better and better and better over time. And now I have a beautiful studio here in Miami and all the other things, right? But the brand of Justin Colby, the brand of Science of Flipping was built because of it, from podcasting.
Yeah.
And now, for example, because I built a brand for 12 years, I just wrote a book, I finished a book, I put it up on Amazon. Within the first week, it went to #1 bestseller. That is because the brand of Justin Colby. It is not because I bought books. I didn't buy a bunch of books to make it a #1. I didn't. It's because when I announced on my social media that my book is live, my brand new book called Flipping to Wealth is on Amazon. I would love any of your support. It is my journey over 18 years, how I flipped my way into accumulating wealth in real estate. Please go pick it up. When I make that ask, after 18 years of branding myself, within a week, I am the #1 bestseller on Amazon. I'm the #1 bestseller, not just in real estate, but in finances and finance. So it was real estate, finances, and real estate sales, I think. In 3 different categories, I hit #1.
Nice.
And so I say that because branding is a long play. So Julian, I would tell you to do this podcast every week for a decade. Like, do not stop. Because where you want to go when you're 37 versus where you're 27, you have no idea what you're going to be able to accomplish, dude. You're going to be so much further along than I was because of what you already know. At 27, I didn't know what you knew, right? I'm 43. And so you're going to be so again, #1 best-selling author. Now and I have been asked to speak on stages for the last, 5 to 7 years. So then it creates more opportunities. So then I launch another podcast called The Entrepreneur DNA. Well, because of my brand, because of so many episodes, and because of now my Rolodex, I call Grant Cardone. Hey, dude, you want to jump on? He says yes. I call Brad Lee. Hey, dude, you want to jump on? He says yes. I call Andy Elliott. Hey, dude, you want to jump? Now I have these opportunities. Now, because I'm playing in a sandbox with people that are well known, now people look at me as an authority. So I told you guys again, credibility, influence, and authority. So I created credibility, I created influence, and now I'm looked at as authority because of the people that I'm surrounded by. Does that make sense? And so branding is a long play. It doesn't always relate to directly money right then, right now. But if you do it for the long play, you're going to make more money you'll ever be able to realize because the opportunities that keep getting presented to you.
That's amazing. I love it. I think people should go start a podcast as soon as they hear this.
And they'll be scared too, so they won't, which so there's that.
I know. Well, there's always hope. And tell us. Okay, so you mentioned that you also own some other properties, like you own some commercial property, some forced depreciation. You were like really big on that. You were like, yeah, that's what I'm looking to do right now. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're doing that, or how your mindset is when it's towards that?
Yeah, so the thing that I'm always looking for is where can I get a deal, and I don't need to get a deal like I'm stealing it, but I need to get a deal that like someone maybe doesn't see what I can see, right? Someone can't see where this property can go. And so I'm always looking for something that like maybe they're missing it because maybe it takes a lot of, like, for example, one of my apartments, like it takes a lot of construction. It was a vacant, rundown building, right? And so a lot of people are like, man, I don't know, and it's going to be a lot of money and it's going to take a lot of effort. And so then I get a price. I bought an apartment for 250 grand. I bought a
Mm.
20-door apartment, meaning I paid roughly 12 grand per door.
Wow.
12
That's
grand
yeah.
in Birmingham, Alabama, downtown, not in some random podunk downtown
Wow.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
And the reason why I saw the value is because I also understood that Birmingham was took $50 million to create a entertainment district, restaurants, nightlife, like a stadium for concerts. And this apartment is a mile away from that.
Wow.
So I know that. So when I see this, I say, okay, what everyone else doesn't see is when this is done and the downtown renovation gets done, the value and the type of people that are going to be renting this is going to be way better than what everyone would think it's going to be. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
having the opportunity to see where could the potential of the property go. Same thing with single family homes, dude. As a wholesaler, like you got to look at what is the potential of the property, not what is it
Yeah.
today, what is it in 5 years, what could it look like, right? What could be done with that deal? And if you can figure out what the potential is, dude, you're going to be in a real good sweet spot.
Mm. I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's incredible. I know that the commercial space is a really good, vehicle, whether you're in apartments or some other vertical, to really build a lot of wealth because,
Totally.
once you buy those properties and you fix them up and everything and you rent them out, you bought them at $12,000 a door. Once it's
Yeah.
fixed up and rented, I mean, that single, unit could be maybe worth 40, 50,000, right?
Oh, way more than that. That'll be worth. So we have, I think there's 21 doors. It's going to be worth like 2.3. So over 100 grand a door.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right. And then it's going to pay me as I hold it. And then when I sell it, I'm going to have the yield between what I'm into it for and what I sell it for, right? So you just got to have patience. A lot of people don't have patience or fortitude to kind of stay in the deal. This construction project isn't easy. The city keeps
Yeah.
stopping us, right? Contractors leave the job and go take another job, and now we got to go replace that. Like that's the type of stuff that like it's not easy, right? But if you have the fortitude to get through it, there's a big upside there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Justin, I want to talk about a little bit about mentorship, but like, how was that in your journey? And I guess, you know, later, how is it to be a mentor and, how is
Yeah.
that for other people?
I believe in mentorship so much that this year I spent $200,000 on two different coaches.
Mm,
Me, I spent it. Now, it's not in real estate. It's in business and it's in marketing and some other things. And then I'm a part of two different masterminds, which is another 100,000.
mm,
There's no way for you to level up if you don't surround yourself with people that are beyond where you're currently at. There's just no way. I mean, you can fight the god awful fight of trying to do it yourself, and you might get there, maybe, but it might take you 50 years. Or I can snap
yeah.
the finger and it might take you two, right? And so I'm a big believer in masterminds and coaching. And I even still to this very day do it myself. One of my coaches is a 69-year-old financial planner. He's a coach of mine.
Mm,
And because he helps me think in a way that I don't normally think, right? When it comes to money and planning and business and how to segment certain things and for me there's so much value in his wisdom. His wisdom comes
mm,
from his age and experience and seeing shit that I can't see, right? That I didn't see.
yeah.
And so I hire people at this phase, not about necessarily real estate. I hire people at this phase for growth. I hire people for scaling. I hire people in different industries. Like I have a tech company that I'm not a tech guy, but I own the company. We have a couple hundred people using this technology. We have a trajectory that could be really, really big. So I need someone to help me, right? I'm in real estate masterminds. I'm in marketing masterminds because I'm in real estate because I need to get to $1 billion of assets. Well, I don't have $1 billion, but someone out there can help me get there, right, within these
Mm,
masterminds. So I'll tell you guys, if you are not investing in coaching, if you are not investing in masterminds, you're just going to take the long way. I'm not going to say you can't make it. It's just going to be really long for you to get there, right? And then how has that transition to me coaching? Well, my coaching has changed a lot this year. You guys have heard me talk about reilive.co a lot because I'm no longer charging 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 grand for coaching. It's $197 a month. And I have 3-hour long calls a day, and we actively are doing deals together. So I've reframed what I'm doing, and I want to get rich with people, not get rich off people, right? So instead of charging you 20 grand, Julian, to coach you, I would say, hey, join the membership. It's $197. Bring your deals, bring the seller, bring the agents. Let me make the call. We'll contract it together. We'll do the deal together, and we'll share it 50-50. Now I'm getting rich with you, and I'm not getting rich off you. And so reilive.co, DCO, is a passion, man. And we're averaging 1.5 deals, not contracts, deals a day right now.
Wow.
And I need to get that to 5 deals a day, and so on and so forth. And so coaching to me now is doing it with you, not just talking at you and telling you. It's about doing it with you.
I love that. That's an incredible change. I'm sure the people, the audience, they feel like you really care about them. So tell us a little bit about your students. I know you've coached a lot of people, but I just want to see, I want people to see just the impact that you can have on someone if they decide to be, one of your students, one of your mentees, and
Yeah.
so they
Go
can get
to
motivated.
reilive.co, reilive.co. It's intentional. And check it out. There's a little video there explaining it. But at the end of the day, I've helped thousands of people not just get their first deal, but then also get some consistent deal flow so they can grow. I have people that have been able to quit their jobs. I've had people that have been able to retire. I've had people that have been able to amass a certain portfolio so they don't have to do anything anymore. And everywhere in between, right? I've been just, right now, reilive.co is really hell bent on getting people traction, getting you your first deal, your second deal, your third deal, and helping you grow, get a growth plan put together. And so, this is something that I want to be doing it with everybody at reilive.co. And I want you guys to be a part of it. So I'm not going to charge you $1 bajillion. The thing I do understand, though, I know this very well. People only pay attention to things they pay for. So I have to charge you something, right? It doesn't have to be 20 grand. It can be $200 a month. But you're only going to be paying attention if you actually pay for something. And, I've helped people like Julian, grow a business, put a growth plan together so they can go from 2 deals a month to getting to 20 deals a month. Who do you need to hire? What do you need to put in place? What technologies do you need to be using? What are your leverage points? I've had people who want to scale their business, right? They already are running at 100 grand a month and they want to be able to get to 500 grand a month. A lot of the coaches that you see today, I actually coached. And they will tell you on their podcast that Justin coach you, and they will say yes. And so that I'm just in a different place in my life where now instead of just straight up coaching someone, I want to be able to do deals with them and grow that way.
It's amazing. Cool. Justin, tell us a little bit about your journey being, a husband and,
Yeah, it's been
father.
fun. I was a pretty big, goofball in my 20s, going into my 30s. That's a nice way to put it. I like to have fun. I like to go to Vegas on the weekends, that kind of life. And I did that because for me, that was my journey. I needed to be selfish. I needed to kind of get through my own stuff. And that allowed me to be ready when I did find my wife, to be ready to be a husband and be ready to be a father. And I think everyone has their own journey. For me, it was like the 20s and 30s were about being selfish. It was about not really caring about much. And then so in my late 30s, going into my 40s, I could really understand what it took to not be about me anymore, not be selfish and only focus on me, but to focus on everyone but me, and to pour into my children, pour into my wife, be the very best dad and husband I possibly can. So the journey has been fun. I've had a lot of fun, maybe too much fun, some would say. But this next phase is also fun because it's different. And I'm fulfilled, and because I was able to really focus on me for such a long period of time, I am fulfilled. I went to a lot of therapy. I did the things that I needed to do to become the man I am today, and then I can pour into them and give them what they well deserve. And so it is such a game changer, right? Like, I'll go speak on stage, or I'll go run masterminds, or I'll go do whatever I'm doing and have to travel. Like, I was just in Charlotte, and one of the events I was speaking on Saturday, and there was no way in hell I was going to stay in Charlotte on Saturday night. I flew home, took the late flight home, got home. So by Sunday morning, I was waking up with my children. I was tired, of course. But those are the things that are super cool where like I'm unwilling to sacrifice time with my kids now. So even if I have to take a late flight home or whatever the case may be, like there's no need for me to stay in Charlotte one more night, right? If I didn't have kids and a wife, then I'd be like, all right, well, I'll just, stay one night. I'll fly out Sunday morning. Not anymore, right? Now I put
Yeah.
them as a focus. So it's been awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's incredible. And Justin, I know, successful people. I know you have some habits, maybe your productivity routine or something. The way that you do things is set in a different way than most people, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so I want you to talk a little bit about how you set up your day, how you schedule, what you do, what makes a difference in your life for you to feel like good, energized,
Yeah.
all of these things.
So I think the number one takeaway you would want is if you win the morning, you win the day. Okay.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is so many of us complain about not having enough time. I don't have enough time to go to the gym. I don't have enough time to spend time with my children. I don't have enough time to, do whatever the thing is. Right. And so the way I circumvent that excuse is I just wake up earlier. Now there's plenty of people who are going to be like, oh, I'm a night owl. It's hard for me to wake up. I understand that. But how does the military work? The military
hmm
breaks those habits. And so
Yeah.
unfortunately, you're going to have to do that yourself, right? But so I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. That gives me at least about 45 minutes. I wake up, I go in the kitchen, I kind of just sit there and let my body kind of wake up. I pound a glass of water, I start my coffee, I sit down, I write in my gratitude journal for 5 minutes. I then will read, drink my coffee and read, and I'm headed to the gym around 5:45 in the morning.
Mm,
I can hit the gym at 5:45. I'm out by 6:45. I'm back. I'm already showered. I showered at the gym. I come home. My children wake up at 7 with my wife, right? My wife wakes up and my children wake up at 7. I then spend essentially from 7 till about 8:30 when I take my 4-year-old daughter. She's turning 4 next week or in 2 weeks. So technically 3, but take her to school and then I'm on my way. Well, I've already filled my cup up, right? I've
uh,
had my coffee. I've went to the gym. I've already read. I've sat in silence. I'm back. I'm showered. I did all my fatherly and husbandly duties in the morning and have the rest of the day to focus on work, right? And so
uh,
if I can win the morning every day and be in great physical condition because I go to the gym every single day, my energy stays high. I don't have those mid-afternoon slumps and I'm running and I'm full, meaning I know I feel like I accomplished today. Not every day is easy. I'm not saying every day is just easy, but I know if I win the morning, I can win the day because the people that hit snooze and keep sleeping in, the challenge with that is you're basically lying to yourself,
yeah.
right? And you know that, right? Subconsciously or consciously, your intentions were to wake up at 5, but you hit snooze because you were lazy and you said, "Oh, I'm not." You didn't keep your promise to yourself. You broke your promise that you were going to wake up at 5 so you can go win the day. That starts to wear on your own self confidence, right? And so I'd tell you guys, start waking up earlier in the morning. Start really, and this isn't like, listen, if you wake up at 7:30. First of all, if you're an adult and you still sleep into 7:30, you got to change your habits because that's insane. No adult should be waking up at 7:30 or later. But
Yeah.
I'd tell you, it starts by 15 minutes a week. Start
Mm,
reducing when you wake up by 15 minutes a week. So if you're currently at 7:30, next week or starting today, whenever you hear this, start waking up at 7:15 for a full week. 7:15 for a full week. Then the week after that, it's at 7. Then the week after that, it's at 6:45. Then the week after that, it's at 6:30, etc., etc. Now, you don't necessarily have to wake up at 5. I'm not going to shame you if you don't. But you need to wake up early enough so you can get done the things that you need to do. I mean, there's times where I didn't sign some loan docs from yesterday. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put that on my to-do list before I go to the gym because I can docu-sign them. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So, having that time in the morning really diminishes any level of stress, anxiety, pressure because you just have more time.
Huh. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I understand. Yeah, that's an amazing way to get started and a really great way to win the day. So, Justin, I think this is a great way to end the conversation here. Where can we find you if we want to
Yeah, go
learn more
to
about you?
Instagram's probably the easiest. The Justin Colby. Go in there. Let me know you heard me or saw me on here. Say what's up to me. It's really me. There's no bots in my Instagram. Say, hey, I heard you on Julian's podcast. Hit me up and I'll say what's up, and happy to help. The Justin Colby on Instagram.
Okay, amazing. And do you have any parting words for the audience that you can share? That you want to share?
Yeah, I think everyone needs to understand it's up to you to create your life, right? And so if you're not where you want to be, if you don't make the money you want, if you're not able to take the vacations you want, or date your wife and do nice dinners every week, then it's up to you to change that. And so the saying I've been saying a lot of is, are your wants in alignment or reflection, or are your actions a reflection of your wants? Right? So if you want something, but your actions aren't reflecting that, then you're not going to achieve it. So you need to line up your actions with your wants, right? It's just you got to put a mirror to your face and say, are my actions reflective of the things I want? And if they aren't, then go do them.
I love it. Thank you so much, Justin. Hope you have a good day, okay?
All right, man. Appreciate having me on.